I can't hear you at all.
No, that's because I had to mute myself because there was an extremely large buzzy fly attacking me. So I've now disposed of it, and I am now back fully with you.
Did you hear what I said?
I did. I heard. Yes, I heard all of it. Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Hello.
Hello, caller. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. So you're toute seule, aren't you? Your girls have gone.
Yes, I'm all alone, all by myself. Don't wanna be. Actually, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm quite looking forward to it in a funny kind of way.
Right, tell me about your week then.
Well, I have had quite an exciting week. Suzanne has been an ideal house guest. She's not only kept herself amused and taken herself off for walks and not been any trouble and washed up after every meal I've cooked. It's been marvellous. But she sorted my wood pile out, as you saw.
Yes, I saw that. Lovely, yes. Yeah.
Because typically, you know, what happens is I rang Elias. Well, I didn't. I contacted Stella on Facebook and said, could you ask Elias for some wood for me? And I should have really got it in before so it had time to dry out. But, I just kept forgetting. And the other thing is that when the woodmen come, they don't say when they're going to come. They just turn up and they dump the wood if you're not there. And if you are there, you have to have the cash on hand. So I called and I said, look, can you just ask Elias to find out when they'll come? Within 2 hours. It was not only pouring with rain and a massive thunderstorm, but the woodmen turned up to deliver a big pile of now wet wood, which was exactly what you don't want. Anyway, they dumped it in the driveway, and Suzanne, after a day, decided that she didn't want to go walking because it might rain, so she'd sort the wood pile out. I'm not joking. It's such a beautiful thing, the way she's done it. She's sorted it all into size of wood bit, and then she's taken it and stacked it on my balcony in neat little sections we can now cover with my retro tarpaulin. A beautiful thing. Yes.
It does sound like a beautiful thing, although a funny, strange and surreal thing in many ways as well.
Well, because I've got a wood. Well, it's not new. I've got a wood burning stove in this house, so I have to have smaller bits of wood, and it's just. I mean, really, she's done like a whole winter's worth of wood. I can't tell you how good it is. If anyone's interested,
You're embarking upon your second stupor winter, so I can remember from last winter the quest for kindling, and also the fact that the man that delivers the wood comes without any notice. So You're going round your life cycle again, Nicola.
I know, and it's really weird, isn't it? I mean, time just cracks on, doesn't it? With waits for no man or woman, that's for sure.
No. It certainly does not. Anything else? Tell me more about your week if you've got it.
Well, we had several very, very fun nights out. Suzanne is such an outgoing personality that she twinkles like I've never seen. That obviously attracts the men, but it also just attracts people generally. And so, she's been a big hit over here. And we've got to know quite a few people better because she's been very outgoing and she's gone and taken photos where I would never have dared to tread, i.e. in the kitchen of the Five Brothers grill kitchen, and I'd never have gone in there on my own, but she went in and got to know him and took his picture. And so she's enhanced our relationships in the area by just being so friendly.
Good.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, well, two things actually. Quite. Neither of them are very good. Last Saturday, something happened to me that I've been dreading happening since 2005. And where are we now? 2017. So for 12 years, this has been my concern, and it happened. I was going out on Saturday lunchtime through the front door, and I tripped over a tiny step and gave my head a big crack, a really big crack on the door jamb as I did it. And as I cracked my head, the exact thought was, oh God, that'll cause me brain damage, because my brain is the thing that I'm most fondest of. And I remember thinking at the moment of impact, oh God, I've really done myself some damage there. But more importantly than that, or worse than that, was the bang on the head was so disorientating, and the step outside the front door so wet that I couldn't get my foothold, and I fell down flat on my face, 5'9", all flat on my face, literally on my face. And my face bounced off the ground like a cartoon. I know, it was just awful. I can say it now in slow motion. Well, I was so lucky. I didn't break a bone. I didn't break the skin. I didn't break my glasses. I didn't break my handbag. I didn't break my clothes. I didn't break anything. I've got a tiny little blood blister on the left palm of my left hand, but I didn't physically damage my, A&E was beckoning, but there was no breakages. I've got massive bruises on both knees, and of course my knees were what's been worrying me about this for the 12 years, because I'm a bit wobbly on my pins. But normally I'm quite good when I trip at saving myself, but because I'd had the big bang on the head, and because this outside step was slippery, I ended up unable to save myself and falling. You can imagine, in a play, when you're an actor, when you're an actor, they teach you how to fall, and because you're going to fall, it hurts you unless you're unless you've taught how to do it properly. And if you're a drunk, you don't hurt yourself when you fall, because you're floppy. Yeah. But and in this case, the same, because I couldn't see it happening, and it all happened so quickly. I wasn't hurt. I mean, it was just amazing. And yet the adrenaline rush was such that in order to get myself up on the floor, I had to kneel on stones. Well, in real life, I can't even kneel on carpet because my knees are so painful. So the adrenaline was such that I could kneel on the stones. And I said to the person with me, look, I'm kneeling on the stones. I mean, I obviously was a bit barking mad in the moment that it happened, but I couldn't quite believe that I was unharmed. I mean, we had to abandon the trip. We were going on a very glamorous trip to the knitting needle shop to buy some knitting needles and wool. We had to abandon the trip. We just sat in the hall for 45 minutes going, oh my God, wasn't I lucky? Because we were looking at the rest of Saturday at A&E, really, and it didn't happen.
Well, that's amazing. And you didn't lose consciousness at all?
No.
Oh, that's lucky. And it was, very lucky. Well, I don't know what to say, really. It's just such a shocking tale, and one that you haven't...
Well, it was a shocking tale. It was a shocking tale. And but what's amazing is that I've been so frightened, because I'm so wobbly on my pins because of my knees. I've been so frightened of doing that for 12 years. It eventually happened, and nothing bad happened to me.
Well, that's brilliant. I actually fell my first day back here. I was going down the road, and the road is very uneven, so I always watch where I'm walking, and I wear Birkenstocks, which are very sturdy. But I just somehow completely looked up for a minute, twisted my ankle over on a strange bit of tarmac, and ended up flat out on my side in the middle of the road, and I could hear a car coming round a blind bend. So I was scramble to get up, and I thought, middle of the afternoon, I thought it was just so unexpected. It really shook me up, like you say, but I picked myself up and just sort of sat on a wall for a little bit to get to come back. And but the real thing was I could hear this car coming, and they don't drive slowly, Greeks, on blind bends. They just keep going. So I had to get myself up toot sweet. Well, I'm glad to hear you're okay.
Well, if you were by yourself, you did well. I don't know if I'd been by myself here. I don't think I would have been quite so happy. I was happy I had a caring friend with me.
Yeah, very lucky too. Yeah. Anything else about your week apart from that? You said two things.
Yes. No, there is something else about my week, actually, and it's not a more cheerful story. I'm sorry to have to tell you that.
I'm self-harming here.
But it starts well. It starts well. My professional photographs eventually arrived and were well received. Fantastic. And there's two sets. Yeah, they are. There's two sets. And one of them, one of them is me in a pink top, sitting at my desk and looking pink and perky and upbeat about my business. And the other ones I really like as well, but they're all quite dark and quite gloomy. And I realised after I'd selected the pinky perky ones for my work, and the darker ones for my personal stuff, that this 100% accurately reflects how I feel about my work and life respectively right now. I'm really upbeat about my work. I love my work, my clients, my book, and the prospects for my book and where it might lead. But I'm really dark and downbeat about my life in a world of, I know you'll think I'm being a drama queen, but these things have impacted on me really badly. Brexit, Trump, WASPy, where the government have stolen 6 years of my pension, my island being wiped out in Hurricane Irma, a month of backache and then falling over flat on my face, manifesting my worst concern. And despite all my woo-woo-ness, all of those add up to something which makes my life quite dark. My work isn't dark. Being here with you now isn't dark. My private life is quite difficult, Nicola. I have to manage my state very hard most of the time and not altogether successfully. And Alison, the photographer, caught both of those accidentally. And when I saw them, it's like, oh, yeah, that's so right. I'm so upbeat and perky about my work. I'm so dark and dark about my life and where I feel in 2017 as a 60-year-old woman.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was just mucking about on Facebook, and I was in Business Cafe, Penny Power's new private group, and Penny Power who started the academy, and we were talking in there about how she was talking about manage your mind, your business mind. It's one of the three. She thinks managing your mind is one of the three pillars of a successful business person, and how she was asking, how do people do it, and do you have duvet days? Do you have mantras? And it was really interesting because I have sort of three mantras I use because I'm actually pretty chirpy nowadays, but it's been a dark couple of years, that's for sure. Perhaps even longer. 2009 onwards was tough as old boots. It really was. Yeah, and well, you were there too. So, and then the last year, obviously, I've had to work very hard on it, and I was thinking about that thing, and actually, a lot of people just blithely swan through life without paying any attention to their thoughts at all, do they?
Well, it's interesting that my business mind isn't a problem. It's my human being mind that's a problem. And of course, when we're self-employed, it's difficult to separate the two, isn't it? But if it wasn't for my work, I'm not sure where I would be right now. My work gives me a purpose.
Well, that's a great thing to say about anyone's work, really, isn't it?
Well, it is. And aren't I lucky? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because imagine if you were having to go to a cubicle every day, or even worse, stack bags on the checkout in Tesco's or something. How would you keep going?
Well, I agree. A lot of my clients who are self-employed now but came from a corporate life manifested a sort of chronic illness that gave them a reason to leave corporate life, when really what they wanted to do was just leave, but they didn't have the balls to say so. And I had an email from a friend this week who I told her about my falling over experience, and she said, "Oh, I've had these symptoms for a while, and I've been for tests, and they think I might have what do you call them? An autoimmune disease." And I didn't say it to her, but I thought to myself, yeah, that's because you go to a bloody job you hate every day.
It was because Penny was talking about her kids and how she gave them leave when they were young to say, really, if you just feel, she thinks children manifest illnesses so they can have a day off school.
Right.
Subconsciously, because they're overstressed by it all. And she has permission to say, at least twice a year, if you want a duvet day, just tell me that you just can't face it today, and I'll let you off. And she said that as a result, they were very rarely ill because they didn't have to subconsciously manifest illness.
I think it's nice to have that cushion in that way, isn't it? To know you can always pull out one of your 2 duvet days if you need it. I mean, obviously, often I give my clients, well, not just me, but in the groups, the Club 100 and Small Business Big Magic, we all give each other permission to have a duvet day. If somebody's just something's happened, or they're just in a terribly low place, sometimes that's all we need. There's a really interesting article on Facebook this week about doctors saying we don't need more antibiotics. What we need is more rest.
Yeah, that's true. My problem is I think, I'll give myself a duvet day tomorrow, and then I'm bored by 11 o'clock and my bum's aching, so I have to get up.
Well, I tell you what, I think I'm going to tell you about it later today. Perhaps I'm not. On Tuesday, I was going to have the day off to read a novel, but I'm sitting in the armchair quite early in the morning, and I think, do you know what, I think I'll just go and work my website over. I got an inspiration to change my website in the middle of a day I'd already set aside to read a book. Isn't that funny? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, so what's fueled your fire then, all these sad things notwithstanding?
Well, I'm not sure whether it's fueled my fire so much as I've had a couple of ideas.
Hang on. I don't know if you know, but Turkey and Greece are having a standoff at the moment, which has necessitated a lot more Air Force flying overhead. Right, it's gone now.
Well, I mean, Turkey and Greece have never been great mates, have they? And
apparently there's been a bit
also
of a crisis
Turkey
recently.
Yeah, Turkey's quite pivotal in Middle East and European politics at the moment.
Absolutely.
Don't start me on the politics again, okay? So, I'm not sure it's fueled my fire, but I've had a couple of ideas, and I'm just saying it out loud for now, okay?
Okay.
So, hear me out before you comment.
Okay.
I've decided I'd like to find a way to create a new newsletter that people will pay to receive.
Okay.
What that will involve. So many of my readers are never going to become clients.
Yes.
They've been on my list for ages, as I told you last week or the week before, and they do that because they just like reading it. Okay. So I'm doing that newsletter isn't really doing what we all originally intended for it to do, which was to do marketing. And I'm doing marketing in another way. I'm going to do marketing on my Facebook page with my new 22 social, where everything's gated and all of that.
Yeah.
And I'd also love to have a paid-for Facebook group. That's all there is. That's the entirety of the product. So it doesn't come with anything else. That's what it is. So a paid-for newsletter and a paid-for Facebook group, and they could be joined. And the rumor has always been that the paid Facebook groups are not allowed. But actually, there's nothing in the rules that says you can't do that. And even if Facebook put something in the rules saying you can't do that, 22 Social allows me to gate them and take the money, which is the same thing. Now, my options are to convert my old newsletter, remove all advertising from it, replace that with in 22 Social, and start to build a new list of people who love my writing, would pay to read it, and it would be free to clients past, present and future, and there would be no marketing content in it at all. So stop using the newsletter for marketing. Get paid to be a writer in a newsletter. Might be monthly, might be weekly, don't know. Just saying it out loud for now, Nicola, because the current newsletter, which I love writing and which I lavish quite a lot of attention on, doesn't really bring me clients anymore. They're coming from Facebook. And as I want to be a paid-for writer, and so do you, it's just another way in which I might be paid to write in the future. I can't hear you at all.
No, that's because I had to mute myself because there was an extremely large buzzy fly attacking me. So I've now disposed of it, and I am now back fully with you.
Did you hear what I said?
I heard. Yes, I heard all of it.
I'm thinking of introducing a paid-for newsletter.
Yes, now I heard all of it. The Facebook thing is because if you're paying for a newsletter, then you could just bung in the Facebook group as a bonus, if you like, which will get you around the rules anyway.
Well, you could. However, I think they might be serving different audiences. One likes to read the written word, and the other is people who want to interact or pick my brains or something. I don't know, but I'm not sure they're connected, to be honest.
Okay, all right, cool. But your software gadget gives you the option to gate your group.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And other people just pay in other ways.
But actually, there's nothing in the Facebook rules that says you can't charge for a Facebook group.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a question for you. I know various things that I could pay to belong to, and The Guardian being one of them. Do you pay anything to belong to anything like this?
Not sure. Not prepared to answer that question. I would need to look into it.
Okay.
However, I think that there are various people who do it. I know there are, actually, because I've Googled, paid for newsletters and seen the list of the top 20 people who do it and why it works and blah, blah, blah. But I'm aware that people are reading it and loving it. And my audience, the people on the list, you said to me the other day, their names and you don't add many people to the list these days. People are not joining the list for the same reason they always used to, and they're not reading my newsletter for the same reason that we wish they were. They're reading it because they love reading my newsletters.
It's entertaining.
And that's not really why I write. It's not why I write it.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I do totally agree with you, actually.
I think it would be a different sort of newsletter. I'd have to write about something not completely different, but I'd have to write in a different way. So I'd need to find my voice first. And I wouldn't charge the people who are already on the list. I'm saying it out loud for now. Haven't thought it through. Yeah. Okay.
Well, a lot of people do charge a small amount to belong to Slack groups now. So that's because people don't want more emails. So, being a member of Slack, if you're using Slack anyway for your own use, like I am, it's quite a nice thing to be able to dip into someone else's Slack group. And some people use it as a bonus on their products or their mastermind or whatever. And some people just charge a small amount of money for it, and you get added to the Slack group and you get removed if you stop. And that can be automated, actually. I think it can be, automated via Zapier.
There's another thing that occurs to me that I could say to the existing readership, and I thought of putting it in this week's newsletter, but I'd written it before I'd realised, which is, if you're here to read my words because you like my words and you're not ever going to become a client because you've already been one or something, here's the PayPal donate button.
Yeah. That's one off, though, isn't it? Aren't we looking at something like PayPal?
Well, no. It would go in every week's newsletter. They could donate if they wanted to, and they could do either. It could be a recurring, or it could be a one-off.
Yeah.
And the other way I could do this, I could do it on Patreon. I'm really just saying this out loud. By now, I haven't found the way to do it. I haven't even thought it through. It's just it's another way that I would love to be paid to write, not just a book. Maybe there's a way I could be paid to write. I don't know. I'm going to look into it. Okay.
Well, the other thing you want to consider then is submitting articles for magazines, online magazines, because we were talking about this in my Write Club.
No, I don't want to do that. I'll tell you why I don't want to do that. It's the same reason we don't want to do anything ever. I don't want to play on other people's real estate. I want to play on my own. I don't want to be paid to write for other organs. I want to be paid to write on my own.
Yeah.
I don't really, my favourite saying is that one that's attributed to both one of the Marx Brothers and Oscar Wilde, which is, I don't want to be a member of any club that would have me. It's my way or my way, Nicola.
Your way or your way. Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Now,
anyway, tell me about your fire.
Yeah, hold on. I've just got to shut my fly screen again.
Oh, fly screens, flyovers. It's all about flies, isn't it?
I know. It's an area. Oh, no, I can't even begin to think of that word. Right, what's fueled my fire? My fire has been fueled by announcing a workshop last weekend that is now nearly full.
Oh, good.
Before we're even out of the early bird booking period. Oh. And I might have to go back to the hotel and see if I can squeeze a few more people out of them, or a different room or something. It's Holiday in Gatwick, Judith. There's a blast from the past for you. In between Christmas, New Year, and it's filled up immediately. I mean, people are even flying in from Europe, and I can only put that down. I used to dread doing workshops because it was such hard work to fill. I can only put this down to the higher profile I've had this year due to the podcast and the V-zine and sharing all those things on all my social media, because I don't recognise any of the names that have booked apart from a couple of members of the Academy. So
I think it's more than that. I think that the concept of being everywhere online in 20 minutes a week is what everybody thinks they want.
Yes, and that's so interesting, because my mentor hates the concept, and he doesn't think you should try and be everywhere online. He doesn't. I don't think he grasps that I'm teaching him how to do one thing on one platform and then leverage that across every other platform. But so he's actually quite opposed to the whole concept. But it does seem to be something that's resonating with people. And doing a 2-day, I thought I could do a 1-day be everywhere online workshop. But then what they really need is to know how to set up some basic mechanics of a Facebook page and an email list or a messenger bot at the very least. And so that's day one, is how to get yourself online quick with your existing business or your new business. And then day two is how to then leverage one bit of content every week and be everywhere online. And the other thing that's happened this week is I've had 3 requests for podcast interviews from various people, and someone called the Wealth Dragons has got in touch. I don't know who they are, but they're requesting my content. They're asking me if I'd like to share my content onto their platform and get in front of their 40,000 odd subscribers.
I know who they are, and I know who they are, and afterwards I will tell you something about them.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I knew someone would know about them. Yeah, so that's fueled my fire. It's all been, I can definitely feel a shift, a growth, an uptick in momentum, all of that stuff. And lots and lots of people chatting to me on Facebook Messenger, which is nice.
We are so strangely yin and yang, you and I. It's half term, and so my world is quiet. and you want to work in the Christmas holidays, and I'd rather gouge my own eyes out. I mean, we live in opposite world, you and I. You have a busy week. You have a busy week when I have a quiet week, and you put on a workshop when I'd rather be sitting with my feet up. It's terribly fun.
No, but you know what? I know that if I'm in England on Christmas, New Year, because my brother's coming home from Australia, so we're all making an effort to be there. I will know that because Christmas, New Year are on weekends, and I know that I will be bored senseless in between. I just know that. Because I can't just sit and do nothing. I just can't. I'm training myself to read and think of that as an activity. And I got quite good at that on the sunbed in the summer. But I am going to try. I've got a whole list of books I want to read. So I am going to actively read as a hobby participation sport kind of thing. But I just know that when I'm stuck in England in someone else's flat, I will be bored. So I thought, why not? Why not earn some money, make the whole trip tax deductible, meet some lovely new people, and do what I love, which is teaching people how to do things. So there you go.
Fair enough.
Here at Own It, we personally believe that leaders are readers. But sometimes it's just not convenient to read and you'd rather listen instead. For listeners of Own It the podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. A couple of titles we've picked out for you particularly are Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg or Crush It, Why Now is the Time to Cash In on Your Passion by Gary Vaynerchuk. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/ownit. Again, that's audibletrial.com/ownit for your free audiobook. You can pick one of the ones I've chosen for you, or you can choose something else. Enjoy your listen.
Now, do you have a client challenge of the week for us?
Well, that part of my paper is conspicuously blank, I must confess.
Oh, no. I can't believe you come to a podcast without a client challenge of the week.
Well, the girl was going this morning. It sort of crept up on me, rather. I've got an idea, though, because obviously we've been talking to Suzanne about what she's going to do with her book in the new year and everything. And the thing she's really been reflecting on is how very, very different it all is since 3 years ago, really, when she was, looking into doing her book, launching her book last time. And Paul was also talking about this. He's barely got his new website up when there's something new that he wants to do. And so it's all got to be incorporated into, what his plans were. And I just thought that a good thing to talk about would be when there is so much you could do, how do you know what is the right thing to do? That's quite a catchy title.
Give me...
So someone comes in new to your coaching. They come to me, obviously, for marketing, but they come into you and they want to start a business. And there's so many different things they could do. Obviously, they've got you as their mentor, so you're going to guide them according to their personality and their strengths and their business. But when there's so many different things, say someone who hasn't got a mentor, go and get one. But if you haven't got a mentor, how do you know what is the right thing to do for your business when there's so many things you could do?
Actually, one of the questions in my book is, there's an awful lot of work for one person to do, isn't there?
Yes, unless you outsource.
There is an awful lot of work. There is an awful lot of work for one person to do. There isn't in my world, interestingly. So I think it rather depends on what you do for a living. If we talk about Suzanne very briefly, she's got a day job, hasn't she? Is it 5 days a week?
Yeah, it's longer hours.
So it's a full-time job, and on the side, she's going to launch a book.
Yes.
Well, if a new client came to me today, I probably wouldn't bother with a website. I've been saying this for about 3 months, haven't I?
Yeah.
There is a lot to do. There isn't a lot to do in my life. If I could explain to you about my life as an example, there isn't a lot to do in my life. So, for instance, I spend about half of my time marketing so I can spend the other half of my time with clients. And the time I spend with my clients is just me and them. So that's not complicated. And the things I do to market my business aren't complicated either. They're all within my capabilities and enthusiasms. I'm able to do my own accounts because I used to be an accountant. And what else is there? My life isn't very complicated. So I need more examples of why people struggle and overcomplicate.
Okay, well, here's a good one then, because I'm sure Suzanne won't mind me talking about this. Basically, she wants to start a podcast. She thinks that, she wants to interview people who are expert in her field. And we think that'd be a really good thing because, it's quite fun and easy and sociable and all that stuff. But, and also, my Write Club wants to start a podcast. So I've been thinking about what's the easiest way for anyone to start a podcast. Would it be to record it on your computer or your iPhone or whatever gadget you use, and then upload it to Libsyn and then share the Libsyn link onto your Facebook page? Would that be the simplest way to go because, otherwise you have to have a WordPress website, you have to have a PodPress plugin.
Well, no, you don't. With Audio Boom, I can podcast by myself and it links through to iTunes. I just record it on my computer, bang, out.
Audio Boom. What's that then?
Well, it used to be called Audio Boo. Why they've stuck an M on the end, I don't know. But those little audios that I've been sharing recently that were film, they look like films because they've got a picture and an arrow on it. I've been using that platform for, 4 or 5 years, and I found these little cache of audios there the other day that have been listened to 1,000 times, so I shared them again. I just create an account. It cost me $9.99 a month. It was free, and it links to iTunes, and I press record. When it's finished, I add a picture and publish it.
And does it add, can you sort of choose back, intros and outros and all that business?
I have no idea. I don't do either of those. Of course, I don't overcomplicate. That's actually the thing under discussion. But there, look, you're looking at the benefits. You can have it as complicated as you want it to be, or as simple as you want it to be.
Okay, so up to 5 episodes a month. So that's weekly. That's great. Up to 10,000 plays a month. So that would cover us. Distribution via Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher. Nice. Advanced analytics. Very nice. Embeddable players for your website and social media integration. Well, that looks perfect, doesn't it?
Quite, yes. And all you do is you open an account. As I say, it used to be free. I've only started paying the $9.99 really recently because they've gone on to, they want you to be a professional podcaster rather than amateur. And you just press the button marked, the red button marked record. You record it, you stop. And you've linked it to iTunes and hurrah, it's gone. I mean, it's rather similar to, what's that thing we used to use before? Blog Talk Radio, but easier, much easier.
Yeah, because Blog Talk Radio, we had so many bloody options. It was completely confusing and overwhelming for people. Okay.
Well, it was okay, but I think Blog Talk Radio is probably easier if you want to have 2 or more people. I don't know whether Audio Boom allows me to have a guest. I think it might be just me. I don't know. Go back to those.
Hang on. Do you have to record straight onto Audio Boom then, or can you upload a recording?
No, I don't know. I record straight onto Audio Boom because, of course, I don't want to be uploading audio or tinkering with audio from my website, do I?
Right. Okay, so this would be great for someone who wanted to start a solo podcast. I need to investigate whether it's good for someone who's going to be doing interviews on Zoom, say, and then wants to edit a little bit and then upload. But no, this does look very good. So one could just get started with an audio, let's call it an audio content, because that's one of the, it doesn't have to be a podcast necessarily. It can just be audio content. And then you can share that audio content from a platform like Audio Boom onto your Facebook page. And that would be...
Yes, and it does it automatically. When I press publish, it automatically goes to Twitter and my Facebook page, I think. And it's got a nice picture on it with one of those video arrows. So actually, I think Facebook probably even thinks it's a video.
Oh. So then the only other thing you would need then is to use something like 22 Social to take payments and gate your groups and all that stuff. So we're looking at under...
Well, sorry, hang on a minute. So she's starting a paid-for podcast. Is that what you're saying?
No, she's starting a podcast as the most simple means of creating content, which she can then leverage to be everyone online to attract people to a coaching program.
Oh, I don't know that she uses 22 Social at all then. She just does it by orthodox methods.
What do you mean by orthodox methods?
Well, the way we've always done it. So if you were trying to do what she's trying to do with audio content, how would you make that happen?
Well, I would be, you've got to host it somewhere. So that's the point, is rather than having a WordPress website.
Well, no, Audio Boom's hosting it. Audio Boom's hosting it, aren't they? That's the point.
Well, that's absolutely...
But you'd have, when you share the thing, you'd have the directions underneath of what you want people to do.
Yes, and what you want people to do is to either sign up for a mailing list or contact you via Messenger on Facebook, isn't it? I would say the latter now, because as you say, you're getting.
Well, I would say the latter now, but I don't think everybody wants to do that because they don't understand Messenger yet. Don't forget, we're always so far ahead of the curve, Nicola.
Yeah.
And Suzanne doesn't want people using Messenger except at weekends because she's got a day job. So she wants them to opt in somewhere, doesn't she?
Okay, so in that case, I would get her to start a Get Drip account, because Get Drip is the simplest, nicest email host now, and it's good. It's free for up to I can't remember, but it's 500 subscribers or something like that. And then she can set up an opt-in form to a simple follow-up message system, and she can use their hosted opt-in form, so she doesn't even need a website there or anything else. She can just give people the link in her description of her podcast episode to sign up for a mailing list through the link that Get Drip will supply her.
Yes, or she could get them to like her page and have that as an option there.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that, because it sucks you into
2 clicks. Yeah,
it sucks you into thinking that if you put something on your page, everyone's going to see it, and we know that.
Can I offer something in here, which just as an aside, I'm not recommending it instead of Get Drip, but those of us on MailChimp this week received an email from MailChimp to say they were doing away with double opt-in.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, that's really interesting.
I know.
Well, okay.
We could still have it if we wanted it,
yes.
but their norm was going to be single opt-in.
Well, I think that's very sensible, and
so do I.
And because all new people who use MailChimp wouldn't know that that's an issue, that they're only going to get 50% of their people confirming, I think that's a really good move on their part.
So do I. And somebody said, why do you think they've done it? And somebody pointed out to me that apparently it's illegal in Canada to only have single opt-in. I don't know about that, but
that's true. Yeah.
But why do you think they've done it? Well, I imagine how many emails, the second emails that MailChimp sends out that just land up in the ether and nobody ever clicks.
No,
I mean, they must have gazillions of those, mustn't they?
It's 50%. It's 50%. You lose half your opt-ins if you're using double opt-in.
So half of what goes out using their system is ineffective.
Yeah. And all the other systems allow you to turn it off. MailChimp does if you know where to look, but it's really hard to find. So
but they're making it the norm, which I thought was quite interesting, actually. It sort of goes against everything we've always been taught to believe, doesn't it?
Well, it does until you find out about the 50% thing. And then that's probably even higher, because so few people use email now. It's probably even higher.
Quite.
Because I mean,
so they're actually just wasting all of their time and effort. I think it's the waste why they've done it. They're just, what's the point of MailChimp's automatic system sending out all of these emails that nobody understands what they're supposed to do with? They just linger in people's email boxes. It's just such a waste, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and it's a waste on their resources. You're right.
Quite.
So just to recap, then. So this is turning into quite an interesting exercise, isn't it? Because this is, what would we do if we were starting again from scratch? The marketing side, it would be to create audio content, which can then be transcribed if you want to use it in anything else like a book, and using Audio Boom to host it. Then we direct people through our Facebook page to either our private group or onto our mailing list, ideally both. And that would be hosted on something like MailChimp or Get Drip, and we would send people to...
You said just now not to go via the Facebook page.
Well, no, I was saying don't make that the only thing that you're gunning for as a Facebook like. I mean, they are valuable, and you will naturally get likes as a result of your content.
No, I didn't mean likes. I meant that if you drive them to your Facebook page, that's your website, in effect.
Yes, totally is. Yeah. Mm. Remember that all of this is with the caveat that this isn't. It's not something I'd recommend long term, but it's something I'd recommend to get started. So so now we've got a marketing engine. We've got a front end marketing engine, which is our weekly content. We've got a mailing list so we can reach our prospects with our offers. We've got a Facebook page that can give people details of our workshops and things like that. So we can use that as a website in effect. And so the only thing now is your payment gateway, which could be good old PayPal, can't it?
Hmm.
Because PayPal takes one-off payments, and they also take recurring subscription payments quite easily.
Yes, they do.
So,
they do.
So simple, isn't it?
It's so simple, isn't it?
You can just concentrate on your front end then, on just getting more stuff out into the world.
Mm. Can I share something with you about Facebook pages?
Yeah.
You know that there's this doom mongering that goes around all the time, which is, you don't get very much organic reach, and Facebook they're testing, limiting newsfeed access to just advertisers, blah, blah, blah. I totally get that, and I totally get why Facebook would want to monetize pages and force us to advertise and all of this. But recently I switched my focus, as you know, from my profile to my page, and due to the backache and various other things, I've not been as busy on my page as I would have wanted to be. But all my stats are up, and I never pay for anything. So let me just tell you this. In the last week alone, page views are up by 73%, page previews up by 64%, page likes up by 100%, 2,408 people reached, up 45%. Post engagements, 1,414, up 95%. Page followers, up 67%. And the only stat which is down is videos, and we know why that is. I never share a video or create a video. But I mean, my experience of Facebook, a bit like you and I being in opposite world, my experience of my Facebook page is completely opposite to what the doom mongers are saying. And I don't understand why, Nicola. I'm not complaining, but everything's up. Why is everybody so down about what you can achieve on a Facebook page?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's because the marketers ruin everything. They're trying to sell something. That's why they're banging on about it down. They're trying to sell something.
Good point.
They can only do that if they make you think
I'm
the sky
so
is
naive. I'm so naive.
They're trying to sell you something that will get around this problem that you are not experiencing at all.
No, exactly. I'm not. It's just weird.
I know. My Facebook page does fine as well. So it's a rosy glow of not very many decisions for people, isn't it? If they want to get started, so people don't have to themselves.
I think it's actually the upside of what Paul was flagging. Actually, the upside is that it's easier than ever before to get online without having to do it all yourself.
And still, people prevaricate. Still.
Well, it's not everybody's goal, is it?
What do you mean?
Well, quite a lot of my clients prefer to leave the house and go to meetings and get business that way. They don't really do any marketing online.
That's very true. Astonishing as it is.
All the right-hand side people, the star supporters and all of those. Let's go to a meeting. Let's have a meeting. Let's talk. Let's see each other. Ooh.
Yeah, all those deal makers as well. They love going to meetings, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Well, it's like they do. It's my workshop. I've never heard of them before because they've never contacted me online. So they obviously just like going to workshops, apart from the couple of members.
Quite. Oh, we always knew that people always liked going to things because it's quite lonely working by yourself at home, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah. So I'm planning 3 a year now. I thought. So I'm actually got a spreadsheet going, planning my next year's activities, which would be rather nice.
Mm.
Yeah. So okay.
I very much like the idea, obviously, as I do from an accounting perspective, of it paying for your trips to England. Lovely.
Well, that's very good, isn't it? We'll keep that bit quiet. Don't tell anyone.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Where am I? I'm starting a new tab, so you know what time it is. That's where I am. Right. Word of the week, then, madam.
Mine is goodies. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I was on my website revamping it, making it 3 choices and 3 choices only, which is, do you want to buy the book? Do you want to book a consultation? Or do you want to join a group? That's all it is anymore. And then I got all of these freebies, which is I've got the podcast, I've got the newsletter, I've got Ask Judith, I've got ebooks, I've got various freebies. And I thought, what am I going to call them? Freebies is a bit naff. Resources doesn't really say that it's free stuff. So I just decided I would call it goodies in the end.
Okay, and obviously we can. Have you got any way of seeing how many people click on each link?
No, I couldn't give a shit, Nicola. Sorry.
This is another example of how opposite we are. You don't.
Yes.
And I've spent the last 2 or 3 weeks learning how to use UTM links so that I can embed them in my menu items and see how many.
I mean, if they're enjoying, it's back to the newsletter. Currently, I've got people who love reading my newsletter, but there's nothing in it for me. If they want to enjoy my freebies, there's nothing in that for me either. And it's not that I don't care. It's more that I'm motivated. I mean, I can tell on the other 3, if they buy a book or they book a consultation or they join a group, ka-ching. That's how I tell whether people are, doing what I want them to do.
Yes.
Money comes into my reality.
The buggy UTM links is all about the dollar.
Well, it is. I mean, I had the same thing with the lady who helps me with the 22 social stuff. You want them all to go through the gate. Well, not if they're joining Club 100 or Small Business Big Magic or booking a consultation. I don't, because they end up in my world anyway by PayPal and the online diary. It's strangers you want to go through your gate, not people who are becoming clients or are clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, mine is adjust, because I've now got to go through a little period of adjustment. I've got to adjust to being on my own again. I've got to adjust to not being coaxed out of the house, but I'll have to be proactive about going out and getting some exercise, especially when the weather it turns even more inclement than it is. And I've just got to adjust, and I know I will. I'm perfectly confident in my adjustment abilities. So that's my word of the week.
Very good.
Project updates then.
Yeah, I have nothing to tell you about the book, but I've already told you mostly, which is I've had this slight revamp and simplification of my website, which is, do you want a book? Do you want to pay a consultation to join a group? And there are alternatives for both people who can't afford both of those, which is they can pay what they want instead of a consultation, or they can do big talk instead of joining a group. But it's all in anticipation of the book, which is November for the ebook and January for the print on demand. So that's my project updates.
Yeah, it's funny because I got an email from Dean Jackson this week, who's got a rather nice podcast called More Cheese, Less Whiskers. And he's got a very nice voice, gentle voice. So I do tend to listen to him late at night, which means I have to sometimes attempt 3 times to listen to one of his podcasts because I fall asleep. But he was saying, how he's a great believer in having one website, one call to action. So he'd rather
Yay.
And he said he certainly noticed that the less options he gives people on arrival at any website, the more likely they are to take him up on it. So, he says if there's 10 choices, then, they just get overwhelmed, don't do anything. Or if they pick one of them, you're only going to get 10% of the conversion that you get if you just had one choice. So I've been doing exactly the same. I've been weeding out the extra things on my free offers on my website, because most people just ignore them. So there's only 1 or 2 things they do take any notice of, so that I've left just those on. Just want to let you know that I've been experimenting this week with Facebook ads for the podcast. And
yes, I knew that, and we have had. I can see the results actually. We've had more views of our whatever. There's something that one of our stats we might look on our Facebook page is up as a result of that.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, I've got it down now. It was 15p a click, and got it down to 10p a click. So for every £5 a day I'm spending, we're getting a lot of clicks, 51 to 100 clicks a day. Now, that hasn't resulted in any iTunes difference in terms of position, but I have got a tracking link on it, so I will see if it turns into leads. What are you saying you're seeing a difference on?
I'll work it out. I've seen something this week, and I thought, I bet that's as a result of Nicola's Facebook ads. When I see it again, I'll send it to you, because I'm not prepared to. I don't know is the answer, but I've seen something, and when I see it again, I'll send it to you.
Yes, I've got another fly. I don't know where they're coming from. There must be a window open without a fly screen on it somewhere.
Either that, or you've got a dead creature somewhere.
Oh God, no. Right, 1 second. I'm just going to see if we can see it on our.
I also wouldn't think it would make a difference to iTunes that quickly, Nicola. I would think it would take a while for that to filter through.
Yes, because I think it only makes a difference on iTunes charts if you get more subscribers all of a sudden rather than more downloads.
Yes, although to be honest, we don't know, do we? It's all rather confusing, that.
Yeah, it is on iTunes, yeah. I can definitely see a difference on the Libsyn stats, as you can possibly see here. Yeah, we're on a strong upward trend for the last 2 days and the last month. The last 3 months, you can see it's raised the lowest average of the, we get the peaks all the time, but I always look at the lowest of the low days. And the lowest of the low days has gone from an average of 19 to 20 downloads to an average of 40, 37, 34. So, so it is turning into...
Yeah, the lowest of the low... The lowest of the low thing is going down, which is good.
Yes, exactly. So so the clicks are turning into downloads. That's very encouraging, because sometimes people say they don't. So with a £5 a day. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell you something about something else in Who or What's Impressed that might make a difference as well. But I'm very pleased with that.
Okay.
For people who are wondering how you can tell if paying for clicks to your podcast makes a difference, A, look at your stats in your podcast host, which Judith says Audio Boom, and I've just looked at it and it does. They do give you stats. The other thing is to use some sort of tracking link, like a bit.ly link or a Google URL shortener or something, so that you can actually go in there and see how many people have clicked every week. And that's a way to track. But I'm using a UTM link, which actually cookies someone, and if they then turn into a subscriber of any kind, I will be able to see that they came from the podcast Facebook ads specifically.
But we won't be able to know whether they turned into an iTunes subscriber, which is really what we want from the podcast.
Yes, it's deeply annoying. And the other thing,
annoying.
I'm only running it on iTunes at the moment to iPhone users. So because I didn't really want to spend £10 a day on it, so I'm not running it Stitcher. But if I can see that it starts turning into customers, then I will turn it on Stitcher straight away. So
it's interesting that, because as people who subscribe on Stitcher would not make a difference to our iTunes chart, would it?
No, it wouldn't. No.
So actually, I'm not sure that is worth paying for, Nicola.
Well, it would be if they turn into leads and customers, which I will be able to tell if the iPhones ones are. So I would then turn on the Stitcher one. So it is important to have some means of tracking expenditure. I could never do any marketing spend without knowing whether it's working or not. So.
For me, though, the only benefit in this is that we go up the iTunes charts because then we're more visible.
And then we get more listeners.
Now, I know there's another benefit in it for you, but I don't think that's going to accrue to me for reasons we discussed in a PM.
Well, I think it will, because
it's not trackable for me, and it's fluky for me. Whereas for you, it's trackable and not fluky. I'm just saying there's a distinction. So what I want is covered by you paying for it to be on to iTunes people only, because we want to creep up those charts to have our podcast heard by more people.
Well, I'm going to make the assumption that half of the people who listen to us are going to prefer you to me, and they will come and subscribe to your list and join your groups, because I think that's only fair, isn't it? I mean, we probably appeal half and half.
Yeah, I don't think there's an assumption that can be made. I don't think. Yes, they might end up a customer, but I don't think they'll become a subscriber. I don't really get subscribers anymore. I think that's just a weird, outdated thing. But anyway, never mind. I'm happy. I'm content. In my logic, it makes sense that the money is spent with iPhone users. Sorry to the rest of the people, because it's the only measurable on iTunes.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so who or what's impressed then?
Well, you go first, because you said yours was related to what you've just said.
It is. I found a thing called wave.co.
Called what?
It's wave, WAVVE.co. And what it allows you to do is make a little video out of a snippet of your podcast quite easily. Well, it wasn't quite easy. I've had a lot of toing and froing with their support department, because I couldn't make it work. It was supposed to be quite intuitive, but every time I tried to drag and drop this waveform image onto our podcast picture, it didn't stay. So I had to make them a video in the end to show them what I was doing. And it turns out that you don't drag and drop. It hasn't got drag and drop functionality on their software yet. You just click it. And I was dragging and dropping, and it looked like it wasn't working. And
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what it's supposed to do. What's it supposed to do?
You upload a picture. So I'm going to upload our podcast memes that Sarah's creating, the ones that go onto YouTube. And then you click what's called a waveform picture. So this.
Oh yes, I know. Susan's been telling me about this. Yes, yeah. I do know. Yeah, waveform
and then when you've created the picture with the waveform in it, you upload a snippet of audio from your podcast, and it turns the waveform picture into a moving video. So as people are listening to, it goes on Facebook, and the waveform tells them it's not just a picture, it's a video, and they click, and then they can listen to the podcast snippet. Well, I can get this. I can get this playing on Facebook for a pound a view. Sorry, I mean a penny a view. I don't mean a pound a view at all. I mean a penny a view. But will it be any better than the 10p a click? I don't know. I'll have to experiment with that.
Okay.
It's a nice little thing. It's wave.co, but if you are going to go and try it, and it's free for 1 a month, they call them cards. If it's free for 1 a month, but if you are going to use it, just don't try and drag and drop the waveform. Just click it, and it'll appear.
Okay.
What about you then?
I don't know how to drag and drop. Confession there. I only know how to click. Right. Well, I'm going to talk to you about my pay what you want statistics. You probably saw me bragging about this on Facebook, but it's been 3 years since I introduced pay what you want. And I introduced it because your sister Sarah shared some web designer in the States was doing websites on a pay what you want basis. And we're always talking on this podcast about how long it takes for the world to catch on. So I thought, well, I might have a look in 2017 about what's the impact of something that I created 3 years ago. And the answer is that in the last 12 months, which coincided with my company financial year end, so it was easy to do the maths, I've done 45 pay what you want sessions spread across 23 different clients. So that's an average of about 2 each. The lowest donation this year was £30 and the highest was £150. More people pay 3 figures than 2. 5 were returners from Small Business Big Magic who'd been clients in the past, and 2 returners from Club 100 and 2 long-time one-to-one clients. 6 were ad hoc people. I'm not sure I'll ever hear from them again, but in this way I know who they are and I consider that we have business relationships, mostly via Facebook, with all of them, bar 1. And 7 were what I would term regulars, i.e. they book 6 to 10 sessions on this basis. The flexibility suits them, or it's the most appropriate offer for them I have right now. One of them went on to become Club 100 client, so £1,500. So it was effectively trying me out in this way, and I hope that at least one or perhaps even more will follow suit in their own time. It's a useful way to be working, for me to be working with those who don't necessarily want to be in a group, though they may have enjoyed that historically or may look forward to it in the future. I get paid to do what I love. And since I put those statistics up on Facebook last week, there have been 2 women in my diary this week who otherwise would not be able to afford to be there at consultation or group prices. So I can help them and they help me to get a little extra income. Not a lot, but enough to have a meaningful exchange of energy. So pay what you want is really beginning to accelerate in the impact in my world.
Oh, very interesting. I can't think that what I could do on a pay what you want basis, but I'm sure I'll turn it over in my head.
Well, you tried it. You tried it with something you didn't like it very much. You tried it with some slightly a thing you weren't in love with anymore that still had value, and you were insulted when people paid you little. And you can't do pay what you want if you're insulted. So there was a woman once who paid me a tenner. That was quite testing, to be honest.
Well, I think it was the $1 merchants that were winding me up.
Yeah, they were. The $1 merchants were winding you up, and they'll always be in there. I mean, the game here is sometimes it's a tenner, sometimes it's 150.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well that's really interesting. And you, the pay what you want thing, do you do that through Gumroad?
No, I just they do it on. There's a PayPal process. PayPal. Book yourself into my diary. PayPal.
Oh, so there's a button where you can just pay what you want. Is there in PayPal now?
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. No. They can either just send it to me using my PayPal address or paypal.me/Judith, whatever it is. But I've got the donate button down the right-hand side of my website. So I say there's 2 ways you can do this. You can just use my email address, or you can go to the donate button down my website.
Okay, fair enough. So I think this has been a jolly useful episode for people getting started, because we've talked.
Well, there's lots of ideas in there of things you could have a go. Listener, don't do them all at once. Pick one you like the idea of and have a go.
Yeah, exactly. Just do the next right thing, not all the right things. Good stuff. All right, Judith. Well, I hope you carry on.
Okay.
Mind that front step.
Will do. See you soon, Nicola. Yeah. Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.